My name is Earl W Taylor. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist for 25 years. I'm the author of the self-help book, Overcoming Yourself, a journey through achievement toward contentment. Welcome to Shupidstit.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce my co-host, Mr. Brian Boggs. How you feeling today, partner?
Hey, man, I'm lovely. If I was any more lovely, I wouldn't know what I'd be. Hello, world. My name is Brian Boggs. I'm a retired naval officer after 25 years of faithful service. We're about to take you on a journey from a common result to an uncommon result, leading to an unbelievable reality. And we're gonna be traveling at the speed of now.
Now, I would like to introduce a special guest, Mr. Antoine Jarvis. How you feeling today, brother?
I'm amazing, man. Life is whatever you make it, and I just decided to make it beautiful.
Make it beautiful.
I made mine beautiful.
Let's make it beautiful.
We all directors.
Full of beauty.
We are the directors.
You're producing a movie
Absolutely.
full of beauty.
There you go. There you go.
Production already.
There you go.
Already.
My name is Antoine Jarvis. You know, I've been in the trucking industry for the last 7 years. I decided to start my own trucking business called ACJT Logistics. Focus with the direct focus on serial entrepreneurship.
Okay. All right, brother. Have another special guest, my friend, Mr. Troy Owens. How you doing today, partner?
I'm awesome, brother. Appreciate the invite.
Good to have you here.
Glad to have you, brother.
Absolutely, yeah. Troy Owens, I'm retired San Diego PD after 28 years, man, and currently pastoring here in the beautiful city of San Diego, man. Just awesome to be among brothers.
Absolutely.
I dig it.
For critical conversations.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Today's subject is violence.
Whoa.
Violence.
That's for real. That's a reality.
Hey, man.
Mr. Boggs,
Yes, sir.
what you think about that, man?
Man, you know, violence. With what's going on in the world today, with the war in the Ukraine, with what happened during the Oscars, the slap heard around the world, you know, it's becoming more and more prevalent. And maybe not prevalent, it's becoming more and more aware that violence is not decreasing in this world. It seems that violence just continues to be a part of our humanity. And I don't understand why that has to be so. You know, from the dawn of time, I mean, if you go back to Cain and Abel, you know, the Crusades, you know, World War I, World War II, to now, like violence, we have not figured out how to solve disagreements and misunderstandings without a violent means.
Come on now. Yeah.
So, you know, I really, really want to have this discussion because I grew up in a very violent neighborhood, very violent. And I was a violent person. I used to box for the Army. I used to love violence. When I was a younger man, I thought violence was the right way to do things. You know, how about you guys' experience with violence? How about you?
Well, first of all, it looks like we all love violence. You can watch a movie, don't have no violence in it. Feel like, it wasn't a good movie.
You got a good point.
It wasn't a good movie.
That's a
good point.
This is Shupidstit. Let's get the good. It wasn't a good movie.
I don't want to admit that, man, but that's facts.
Yeah.
We here to turn the lights on and not keep them in.
Right.
So violence, humanity has gotten this far. They said people don't kill. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Step forward. Let's go to 2 more steps. It must have been the trigger finger.
Yeah.
Okay, making progress. Oh, that was tied to an arm. Okay. So we got to get to the source of violence.
Right.
So, okay, that arm was directed, came from the general in your head.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we know for sure that violence is in the head of men. As a hypnotherapist, I specialize in the head of men. A dentist know a little bit, or should know a little bit more than the rest of us about teeth.
Yeah.
I'm no neuroscientist. He knows more about the physiological aspects of the brain. But a hypnotherapist knows more about the settings of the mind.
Gotcha.
Inside of every mind is a value system
Yes. Yes.
that determines exclusively how we evaluate. That
Agreed.
period, that's called a preset. You are having presets before you get a single choice. And I'd like to say boldly that the value system determines who lives and who dies and how they die and how they live. Okay, what do you mean by that? We all are murderers. We step on ants, kill them, move on.
My daughter don't.
There's exception. Clearly, an exceptional young girl. An exceptional young girl.
Hey, my daughter will tell me, Dad, don't kill that bug.
Yes.
She like,
Which letting us know that consciousness is moving forward and not backwards.
Exactly.
But until, with some people, the value system preset and not so. We didn't go to the value system store and say, hey, I like to buy a value system. No, I don't want that one too much sexism. No, that one has too much violence. No, we didn't get to choose like that. Where do we get our value system from? Our parents. Where do they get theirs from? Their parents. We got the value system of the caveman and wonder why we act like animals, like the first man, because that's the value system we have in the 21st century. The value system exclusively determines who lives and who dies. Now, murder, one guy says, I'm not a murderer. I only kill dogs.
Yeah.
They food for me.
Yeah.
That's how you evaluate, nothing happens. Another guy says, you kill a dog, you go into prison, but I kill pigs. One value system says, kill blacks. You can kill some blacks. You ain't no problem with that. Mm-hmm. Kill blacks. So, simply stated, the source of all violence is the value system, and it self-evaluates. It judges your violence and justifies my violence. On that note, we've at least discussed where it starts. Let us continue how it continues.
What was your experience with violence?
As a young person, violence was not experienced at all. I grew up in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, we were outside playing, with sticks and stuff and using our imagination, and it was such an innocent environment.
Wow.
Bunk, Louisiana was just in the middle of nowhere. Wow. But then when I moved to a major city such as San Diego, no, man, back in the country, we didn't even have television. So, because the value system back then, you were reading books. You weren't exposed to radio and television and those things of that nature. But moving to a major city is my first experience in terms of violence. But let me say this, violence has become a societal norm.
Yes.
To where it is expected for a violent outcome. For instance, if somebody steps on your shoe, it is expected of you to return with an act of violence, not an excuse or anything like that. So and we get our value system, as you said, from our culture, from our environment, man. And so unfortunately, we are numb in regards to the consequence of violence because it is expected.
Man,
Well,
what about you, brother?
I hope you don't mind me piggybacking.
No, go ahead.
Growing up in Sacramento, man, it was the culture. I didn't seen, good friends of mine die at 13, 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I look at kids today and I'm like, man, it's so good to see, a kid make it to 18, 19, 20, 21. Wow. And it sucks that we even think that that's
accomplishment.
That's an accomplishment, right? But I feel that when it comes to violence, there's different perspectives, right? There's different outlooks on that. And you have brought it up when you say somebody steps on your shoes and there's automatically that act of violence. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was walking through. I was at a bar a few weeks ago, and I'm walking through, and some young ladies stepping on my shoes. Not one time did they stop and say, "Excuse me." Not one time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm walking by again. A brother accidentally bumps into me, kind of rattles my drink a little bit, turns around and immediately says, "Oh, I apologize." Wow. And I tell him, I said, it's funny that we naturally know as men, right? We know we're wired to understand, right? There's an act of violence that comes with disrespect. That even if it doesn't happen, in the back of our mind, we're thinking this potentially could happen. So let me excuse myself real quick and hey, my bad, yes, because I don't want you to misinterpret what I did because it was not intentional. Right. Yes. But for some strange reason, the opposite sex are not wired that way. Mm-hmm. They're not wired to think, oh, I bumped into him or I stepped on his shoe. Let me say, excuse me. And again,
they'll blame you.
They'll blame me. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because if we're talking about violence, I ask myself, why are they wired that way? And we're wired to automatically believe if I don't speak up and let him know it wasn't intentional,
violence is possible.
If violence is possible, why is it that women could do the same exact thing and there would be no consequences, nor will it be? And the only answer I can come up with, and I would definitely like you guys' feedback on this, the only answer I can come up with is because there are men out here, some of them have badges, and some of them have guns, created laws that said, hey, you can't do this to this person, and if you do, these are the consequences. And I think that right there, that programming right there is what prevents them from even acknowledging the fact that what they do comes with consequence. And then I'm not making this about, obviously I'm not making it about men and women, but the idea and mindset. About
emotional connection we have with manhood. Put that in the back of your mind and continue.
And I got a point with that once you're done.
Okay. So let's go there. Okay. Let's go there because again, to me, there's a certain way of feeling when I see somebody that looks like me, right? And we bump into each other, it's automatic for me. Matter of fact, I even call other men kings, gods, you know what I'm saying, brothers, absolutely, all that type of stuff to try to change the narrative. Right.
To show that there's a mutual respect.
There's a mutual respect. So if there's already a mutual respect and I bump into you, naturally you're going to always remember how I approached you off top.
So you know it's not disrespect.
So you automatically will know it's not disrespect. And it's not out of fear that I do that. It's the fact that chaos finds order.
Yes.
Right? And I like that how you presented that, because that makes so much sense to me, because I'm not trying to disrespect you. Right. I want to have a great time, right? But I feel a certain type of way when somebody steps on my shoes and completely walks away and acts like I don't even matter. What's you guys' thoughts on that? So, or am I digging too deep into that?
I see what you're saying. This is my perspective of it. The reason why men and women react differently. So naturally, when you're aware of something, when especially if you commit something, you're naturally more aware of it. Mm-hmm. Like if you're a drinker, you know the difference between tequila and vodka. But if you're not a drinker, you don't know the difference between tequila and vodka. They can say, hey, that's tequila when it's vodka. And you can say, oh, that's tough. Man, that was all right. So the thing is, men being the primary committers of violence, they automatically know that violence is a potential outcome. So as a way to disrupt that reaction from happening, we automatically make an apology or some kind of acknowledgement to the other person, like, hey man, I wasn't trying to do this for nefarious purposes. With women sometimes, since normally, not all, but most, women
glad you said that.
aren't. Yeah. Exactly. And also not all men are committers of violence as well.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking on a majority basis.
Yeah.
A lot of women aren't really familiar with being active participants in violence. where they are the ones that are actually committing the violent act. So when they do something, they don't necessarily see the requirement to do an acknowledgement like, hey, my bad, I didn't mean to disrespect you, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. Because in their mind, they're like, oh, well, because if he bumped me, I'm not going to take it the wrong way. So if I bump him, he shouldn't take it the wrong way. Right. Because to them, nothing lost is nothing gained. Mm-hmm. So that's just my perspective.
That's interesting.
Well, in regards to men and women, we've had a previous lengthy discussion on manhood. And we talked about its ability to respond to pain. Simply stated, if you can't feel pain in your own arm, you'll hurt somebody and not even know it. You're clueless. And emotions are the clues. Once again, if I can't, people who can't feel pain, they harm themselves. Does that make sense as a male-female illustration? Was that oversimplified? Oversimplified? Okay.
I'm gonna be honest.
I've been asked to oversimplify stuff, and you can see. Let me go ahead and elaborate a little bit. Just a little bit. We know that men or manhood is this inability to respond to pain, or this preset that you got to take life like a man. And there's a loss of emotional connection. Fair? Fair. So if you're not responding to pain and you can't feel pain in your arm,
I get you. Yeah.
You can hurt someone else and be clueless because you don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. So that kind of describes the male-female component, which is perhaps why if you can feel the pain that you would cause anybody, you probably wouldn't do it on a deeper level.
Right.
You simply would say I don't want to hurt that person like that. But you don't even know the person is hurting like that, or you can't feel that in regards to man and women. But this issue is bigger than man and women. This is a human issue. Even though women do it less, humans do it more. Continue. You want?
No. I'm listening and following because I'm having a little bit difficult time connecting because I get what you're saying and I'm in agreement. But then when I hear what he's saying, I'm trying to connect the two, marry them together, where what you're saying is, in his point, are matching
Not
up.
Directly.
And maybe
I just made a general statement about men and women.
Right.
Now I'm going to talk about humans.
Right, but he asked a specific question where why do women do things and not respond accordingly from a forgiveness perspective, like stepping on a man's foot or bumping them, where when men do that to each other, they do.
Because they're wired to not understand that they're even doing it.
Right, so I was just trying to get your perspective on that.
He received the answer.
Yeah.
He received the answer.
Yeah. So that's what I got from what you're saying. That women, and correct me if I'm wrong, that women are not wired to even acknowledge and understand that they were doing something that may have caused hurt to somebody else.
Respect is a dominant male tendency because it's a rational thing. Most things that come from the mind are more male. More things that come from the heart. Now this we already know. Right. It ain't all men, it ain't all women.
Exactly. We already said
generally speaking.
Ever out there. Yeah. Yes.
Generally speaking. Respect. And be honest with you, this is a super simple. Respect means nothing to me. Absolutely nothing to me. Now, that's a Shupidstit moment. What do you mean? You're a man and you don't... Yeah, I don't take life like a man. So I could probably... A lot of women don't care a lot about respect. They care about other things. Love. Probably better things. So that could overly, simply stated, explain that. But I think the bigger issue is that society is on a quest for justice, which explains why we kill a man for killing a man, and that's the best we can do. That's now we're away from the male and female now. And justice gives people what they deserve. And I like to believe there's 3 layers of human evolution. The first layer is freedom. And the second level is justice. To get to justice, you must take freedom from all to have justice for all. And that's where we're currently located. But there's another level to this. And until we get to this next level, we will not and cannot solve the problem with violence. We will return, one man hurt you, you hurt him back. One man hit you, you hit him back. One country destroys you, you destroy them back. We all can identify that the gang is a problem, but let's be realized, we're a gang of Americans. And if you violate our core values, we're gonna do a drive-by your country. And that's because justice is the order of the day.
I agree with that 100%. One question I have is, because justice is definitely where the society is at as a people. But what about when you have, and I don't mean to say but, because but wasn't the proper word. When you have that initial aggressor, perpetrator, because they're not doing that out of justice. They're doing that out of greed. Like from my perspective, most initial acts of violence come from some sort of greed.
Was Will Smith greedy? I think we need to ask that question. Was he greedy?
I think he wanted attention.
Wow, that's a new perspective.
That's a new
I never heard that.
I actually thought the same thing.
Yes, I 100% think he wanted attention. Why else when there's a man standing up there by himself, would you walk in the middle of the crowd on this stage in front of everybody on live TV if you don't want attention?
Yeah.
Greed would be my third and fourth choice. What about you?
Well, greed is not my first choice in regards to why people act out in violence.
I guess we.
Well, when I say greed is really the desire, the excessive desire for something. That's what greed is. So for Will Smith, when I say
in this case, desire for justice.
His was could have been a desire for justice, but I think it was a desire for attention.
You don't think he got enough attention?
I'm just telling.
No.
I'm just this is my perspective.
These are perspectives,
Okay, right.
now.
Absolutely.
Everybody got it.
Yeah. So when I say greed, I just want to make sure you understand what my definition of greed was
Absolutely.
first.
I get it.
So please, I'm sorry.
No, mine would be just anger. We are living in a society as humans where people are just angry all the time. They wake up angry. They dream angry dreams. They, I believe it was Cedric the Entertainment said, "You banging on bacon?" Because they wake up in the morning just angry. I think.
What causes that anger?
That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million
I got
question.
half a greed I can put on that.
Right, absolutely.
I got a half a million answer.
So then when you offend somebody who's innocently offend somebody who's angry and ready to pop off at any moment now, thus they act violent. That's because that's their only way to deal with that current situation.
I totally agree.
I got a $500,000 answer to that $1 million question.
Yes.
The cause of this anger, not the symptoms, is injustice. And it's derived from this ideal that I deserve to be treated fairly. And everybody deserves to be treated fairly. And therefore, everybody gets mistreated sometimes due to imperfection in others, and thus the angry responds. However, this will continue, and it must continue, as long as justice is desirable. And why would you desire justice? There's only one explanation for that: love. The lowest level is freedom. The next level is justice. And to get to justice, we have to relinquish the quest for freedom. We have to take rights from individuals so that we have justice for all. The next level is love. To have love, we must give up the desire for justice.
And let me say this to bring clarity and another perspective to this, because when you use the word justice, people's mind default to criminal justice system, judicial system. But that's
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
My mind goes.
Justice is nothing but that which is fair to me.
There you go.
Not criminal justice.
Yes.
Justice has at its core me.
Right. Because I know some
Myself.
young kids, some young black kids, especially young black boys, who are angry because their dad left. and they're just
That's
angry
unfair
at
to
life.
them.
And you're right. So that's why I want to make sure we cleared that.
Thank you for that, sir.
That,
I appreciate that
word.
clarity.
So we want to
justice now is not criminal justice.
Absolutely.
Because there's no criminals.
Yeah.
It's just predicaments that we make criminals into, But that's a whole nother. I don't want to
I would like
analyze that.
to touch there on what you said, because I understand and I see that same thing. And then I want to go back to what I was saying about where greed is the heart of it all. And this is a Shupidstit moment.
Yeah.
Listen, check this out. All anger comes from greed. When you have an excessive desire for something,
yes,
and it doesn't happen the way you want, you get angry.
Yeah.
When your woman don't cook the meal you wanted the way you wanted to cook, you get angry.
Yeah.
When your dog poops on the floor, you get angry.
Yeah.
When you in the store and you grab for a toy and somebody beat you to it, you get angry because you really wanted that toy. So the reason for violence is greed.
Yeah. But I can see us marrying the two, because greed is not a negative connotation.
I didn't say it was.
No, I'm just clarifying for you.
Yeah.
That was my disconnect when you first mentioned the word greed.
Right, I know, and that's why I wanted to clear it up. That's why, and just like you said, like for young men, because like not all young men that don't have fathers have that excessive anger, but those that do, is because they have a excessive desire to be with their father, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely,
but that's what makes they have a very, very reasonable is not measurable in my eyes, because reasonable is different to everybody.
Excessive is
so
measurement.
When I say excessive, when I mean an overwhelmingly strong desire, to be with their father.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that instead of saying excessive, overwhelmingly strong, because like myself, my biological father wasn't in my life. I didn't have an overwhelmingly strong desire to see him because I had my stepdad. So I wasn't an angry young man.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I can see that. Translated, the greater the violence, the greater the expectation for justice, or to be something to be fair to you.
See, violence doesn't require justice, because there's always an initial act that had nothing to do with justice sometimes.
The question now
I said always sometimes.
But it is Shupidstit.
Possibly it could.
It is Shupidstit. You know what I'm saying? So
It did possibly did.
100% of the time, 70% of the time.
I think a reasonable compromise would be this. To get violence, you must have some form of injustice. And that injustice comes from some form of expectation, whether it be high expectations, such as an extreme desire, or low expectations, such as you called my wife, you said the wrong thing to my wife.
I can agree with
You know,
that.
it don't have to. But it's to me, the injustice is the key element, because see, this is when you talk about all humans. If all humans, and that will happen, refuse to seek justice for themselves.
So the reason why I still can't attribute violence to injustice is let's look at it like this.
We made it inclusive, but continue.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Didn't we add the two? We just measured it. His measurement, he had a measurement to it. He said extreme was a measurement.
Yes.
And I included that, whether it be high or low
but it's
intentions.
but
it's still derived from the injustice.
But not necessarily. And I'm going to give you a prime example of where it's not injustice. Let's take, there is a man that he got some money, but then he see another guy, and he said, oh man, that dude like food. I can get that guy. And he bop him upside the head, or he shoot him and take what he got. There was no injustice there. There was no reason for him to feel injustice for this person he didn't know. But he still committed an act of violence against this man.
Remember, I started off by talking about that value system. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the ant. When you kill that ant, the purest form of violence comes from your value system. That's preset. That causes you to kill an ant, a human, a dog, a Russian, a woman, or whatever. Your value system say kill. You naturally do that. And to show you how powerful this setting is It'll cause you to leave your family and go kill another man's family that you don't even know. And that's what war is. They're killing young people that they don't even know. So that's the power of the preset. But now we're looking at a more practical solution to violence. And in my pea brain, the solution is violent, is to go beyond justice. Until you stop saying, because if everybody said, I know it's not fair to me, but okay, I'm cool with that. Because I want something more than justice. I want love. And love is what you do for others. But a society will be violent until which time the maturity sets in. Okay. That transfers society from justice to love. We're heading in that direction. We got a long ways to go.
So from that perspective, a young man has saying, although you disrespected me, I'm not going to respond in violence. I'm just going to accept that disrespect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact,
that's a huge task.
In fact, that takes a lot of maturity. Yeah. Thus, this whole principle is the basis for the entire Christian faith.
Oh, yeah.
It starts off, greater love has no man than to lay down his life for another. That is the greatest injustice. And the Christianity faith is based on this one guy. All these daggone sinners. This guy ain't did nothing wrong. He gonna just die for all y'all. That is the greatest form of injustice humanly possible, and create the power of that is so powerful.
From that perspective.
It is so powerful that we're still following that man to this day. And where we follow him? Toward love. Beyond justice. That's the cure. That's the cure.
And maybe it's just my brain. I don't know. Because when I keep hearing injustice, and I hate to keep saying this, but it's like just not connecting. Like what you just said about, like the greatest love is to lay down your life for another person. I get and agree with that, but I don't see the injustice in that. Like that
is the unfairest thing on the planet.
No,
why does this guy have to die for all you? I didn't do nothing. Why am I dying?
You gotta let
Father, why hast thou forsaken me?
You gotta let me finish what I'm saying.
They're gonna answer this question.
All right.
I'm gonna let one of them answer.
So the point I'm saying is, if a man willingly gives his life, how is that injustice?
That's a good point.
Well,
that's the part I just don't get.
Injustice to that man. It's
I'm
love.
just saying. That's my point. It's love. It's not injustice.
It's injustice. It's a justice against that man that he chose love. See, love is a choice to do something for others without regards to yourself.
In your situation that you're asking from a contextual perspective, and you're speaking of Christ, you're speaking of Jesus, he willingly allowed himself to be treated unjustly.
Yes.
The key is
for the love of man.
And that's what we all need to do.
But he never considered it injustice.
No, from his perspective,
he knew that wasn't fair to him.
From his perspective, he was doing his father's will.
Exactly. He was doing his father's will. Yeah. So he didn't consider it injustice.
I kind of think he did, because when he said, Father, why have thou forsaken me?
He understood injustice.
In his mind, he understood.
You don't need that is the clearest form of injustice.
Now that's an important part right there. And I'm gonna just touch a little bit. And since you're the seasoned individual, I would love for you to really take this and shed some light on it.
Absolutely.
Because the why have thou forsaken me has been talked about a lot. Because from at least my little understanding, I say little understanding because I don't know everything. I don't claim to know nowhere near it. But that was what showed the combination of his humanity and his godliness. Why have you forsaken me? That was the showing of his humanity. Now, I would like to pass for you to give a much better understanding or explanation.
And from
that's beyond humanity.
Now you're moving into the supernatural realm.
Hey! Like I said, I only know what I know. I only know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know.
Absolutely. And just simply put, it's like this: God is too holy to be in the presence of sin. Jesus took on sin himself. So the Father couldn't be in the presence of sin. So there's a word that's called anthropomorphism, which means there's some words that humanity uses to try to get a word picture. So let me give you a word picture in regards to that forsaken me. Jesus always had an intimate fellowship with his Father, just face to face, that this close. But when Christ took on sin, his Father couldn't bear to be in the presence of sin, so his Father did this. So Jesus had that sense of being forsaken, not because of abandonment, but just being out of the presence of his Father with that intimate connection that he had. So you have to look at it from that perspective. It wasn't an unjust situation right there.
Exactly.
And
that's the way I took it. That's the same way I took it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, clearly, Jesus, by the time you get to love, you don't see things as injustice. You don't see, when somebody take your freedom away for justice, you don't see them as robbing your freedom. You see it as the price of justice. So the person who's arrived at justice perceives the loss of freedoms as a good deal. I gave up my freedoms, I got some justice. Sounds like a deal. Well, the person who arrives at love doesn't see it as injustice, otherwise he'd be stuck. He sees it as the price of love and a fair exchange.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Wow. I can definitely
and in
see
terms
that.
of the unjust or injustice in terms of Christ, to be biblically correct, he was killed because he said, I am the Son of God. And he was. Therefore, when they killed him unjustly. So he didn't receive the justice that he was God, and they killed him anyway. That's unjust. So to your point, in regards to injustice, I just want to make sure we had that.
But that's unjust from our
correct.
perspective and not his.
But not his, because he was on a mission.
And
his mission was to die.
Yeah, exactly. That's unjust from our perspective.
Right.
His mission.
Yeah, from a human perspective.
Exactly.
Well, you got the natural,
right?
right,
and that's the whole thing. It's all about that perspective.
Oh,
part.
no doubt.
And can you be angry without hurting people?
Yes.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Hey.
Let's be real.
I'm home and this is. I know my son's been at the house 10 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been feeling a certain type of way.
So you can
But maturity comes not responding or allowing that anger to influence
trying
your
to get
behavior.
justice.
So you can choose.
There you go.
You can choose.
There you go.
Because it doesn't govern me.
To not focus on what is about yourself. That's all you're doing. You're saying, this guy, I ain't even gonna wait and let him take the power away from me. And so therefore we have a choice, and society is making choices more and more to allow the injustice to them to move beyond it.
Yeah.
And that's what we do when we are angry, but we don't hurt nobody.
Are you saying that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I try not to personalize anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Are you saying that society's making the choice to personalize these interactions or personalize these events that take place in their life, which is leading to the decisions of certain acts of violence?
Absolutely.
If you will.
More specifically, injustice pertains exclusively about me. Ain't fair to me. This ain't right to me. You did me wrong. Why you doing me like that? Something's wrong with you. You ain't gonna do that to me. That's the injustice. What we're doing now is we're overcoming ourselves. We're basically taking the me and setting it over here and moving forward toward love, which is what you do for others.
But injustice doesn't always incorporate just me, because people from a distance have their own preconceived notions, and they can say, oh man, that was an injustice. And then they may act a certain way because they saw an injustice. Prime example, we can talk about some of the wars that had happened. We talk about World War I. When that happened, when all the other countries got involved, because it really just started between two countries. But then, they're like, oh, that was an injustice. Oh, we got to get in that.
Yes.
And if you get in,
then we got to get in.
Right.
So it ain't always just about me. It's about what others see too.
Which leads me to the next notion I like to present. The problem-solving process. In my pea brain, there's three ways to solve problems. With your hand, with your heart, and with your head. The lowest level of human existence didn't have much information here, and therefore they didn't develop this, so they solved problems with the closed hand.
Violence.
Violence. Violence is problem solving with the closed hand. You can still have injustice, which people do, but they keep their hand open. But to have an open hand, you must open your mind to get lots of information in, and the information age is going to usher a lot of that. And then once your mind is open, such as the manhood thing, or a lot of our podcasts has a goal to open the mind. Once the mind is open, the heart begins to open. Gotcha. And with those three things open, you reach full human potential. And I think that's where we're headed. And I think that's the solution.
I think that's the solution. The only caveat, because I agree, the three things you said, 100% agree with those. The thing is, violence isn't just a problem-solving method. Violence is also a problem creation method as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, if you don't solve the problem, you create a problem. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
No, I mean, but you got to have a problem before you can think of solution. And sometimes that problem was the violence. And then that's why the solution sometimes is violence. But violence is independent of that.
The solution is never violence. But continue.
We understand that the solution should not be violence. But to some people, violence is the solution.
And those people need to open their hands.
I agree.
Open their hearts.
I totally agree.
So with that analogy, Earl, let me challenge you, not challenge, but ask you a question.
I like to, yeah.
Those who act out in violence, are you saying that they have a closed mind?
No, not a closed mind. I don't like that terminology.
Okay.
They need more information in that.
Okay, gotcha.
You got to keep your mind open.
Okay.
See, a baby, a 2-year-old,
yes.
a 2-year-old does things.
I was saying the same thing.
Well, I say a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old doesn't have a closed mind; it has an undeveloped mind.
Okay.
But if it's open but undeveloped, but if you close it, that's a choice now. And I guess there are people who choose
So I'm gonna say,
to close
when I
their
say
mind.
close, I go closed mindset.
I guess this guy
Mindset.
is that.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we should be talking about this guy
Because
right
the closed
here.
mindset is a real thing. You got the closed mindset and the growth mindset. When you have a closed mindset, that means your mind is made up.
Okay.
So you can't even consider another solution.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Facts.
And I think that person is undeveloped. Because development comes from information, and if you and that person has capacity, and I think evil man is a man of love, biggest opportunity. Because without that evil man, that closed mind, individual chose to be this guy and not this guy, amongst all of us, that individual becomes our biggest opportunity, and he or she is also essential part of the growth process as humanity moves forward.
I believe that. Because it's one of the things that I have challenges with myself when we talk to, when you brought it up earlier in regards to, are they saying, don't respond to violence with violence and be mature about it, right? Those are one of the things that I struggle with, that I have challenges with myself.
Absolutely.
And it comes down to really me looking at how evolved I am in my way of thinking, and being able to, if we're talking about different opportunities to make those corrections in real time, I try to use the fact that I pride myself on being a man of wisdom.
Okay.
Right. I don't know everything, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Right. But I know one thing is, not everybody's going to think like me.
Right.
So because I love my freedom and not everybody's going to think like me, it makes it so much more easier for me not to respond in a negative way to something negative or something that I deem negative, because I already know that outcome could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be we get into a fight and that's it.
Right,
the outcome could be anything. I can punch you, you fall, bust your head on the cement, you start leaking, you die.
Yep.
I'm going to jail.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
Absolutely.
All because of a hot moment, a hot second, if you will, where I felt disrespected, or I felt like, you know what, you treated me a certain way that I wasn't supposed to, injustice, if you will. You treated me in a certain way I wasn't supposed to be treated.
Yeah.
I responded. Now I'm going to jail for life. You know what I mean? So one way I try to combat that is again, I try to pride myself on being a man of wisdom, of understanding everybody is not going to, and because they don't, I refuse. Because there's been times when I was younger and I didn't think about what I had to lose.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And now, because I practice it more, I can do that now.
Yes.
If more effectively now. I can practice before it even becomes something. If I know the energy in the room is a certain way, I'm up out of there.
Absolutely.
I got to get up out of here.
Yes.
Because I already know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I already know if it get funky, it's going to go, if it go up, it go all the way up.
That's what I teach my son.
You know what I'm saying? There is no, we're going to go halfway at this. If it go up, it go all the way up. And so in my mind, I'm like, if I see that happening, if I see that dude, that body language, and I try to teach them, hey, pay attention to body language.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, pay attention to body language. When you want to go, because I let my son go to parties.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, pay attention to body language because that's going to save your life.
That's preemptive love.
And you know something else?
You are preemptive in the love toward others.
And let me just put this
okay.
out there because you made some great points. I always use this term. Never react, respond. There's a huge difference.
Yes.
There's a huge difference.
Sir.
In what you're
Responding
talking about.
requires
you know
logic.
how to respond now to
Yep.
things. At first, you just reacted.
Responding
At first.
requires logic. Reaction
go.
is strictly emotional.
There you go.
And it has to do with these buttons. And guess what? We're in a technological age. Buttons are expired. So nobody's pushing buttons. Get rid of the
Exactly.
buttons.
It's facts.
Reaction has, if somebody push a button, you react. You're not responding.
Exactly.
You got buttons on. Nobody wears
Take the buttons off.
Take the buttons off.
But you know something I want to talk, when you was talking about the giving of your life for killing someone, you know, and this is something, you know how they say it's a thin line between love and hate. Mm-hmm. And we all know how thin that is. And if you really think about this, and I don't think most people think about it like this, but let's say somebody does something to you, and then you kill a man because you hate him. And then you get the death penalty.
Yeah.
You literally gave your life for that man.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But some people don't think that's enough.
Yeah,
You still got some breathing to do. They want to stop the breathing.
Yeah, I mean,
That's called killing a man. They don't want it to be fair for free.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He gave his life, but he still can breathe.
Why would you get no? I'm talking about when you get the death
There's
penalty,
no
you ain't
good
still
reason to kill
breathing.
a man, is your point.
Exactly. That's my whole point. Like, why would you describe your reason for killing a man as hate when really, if you're willing to give your life for this person, that's love. So for this person that you supposedly hate, but if you're gonna give your life for this person, then you must really love that person.
Yeah.
Because why isn't your life more valuable to you?
Hate of one thing is really love for another. We love America and we impose hatred on other countries. Hate of one thing is really love for another. So you can focus on what you hate, but really you actually say, what are you loving on?
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah,
I just said, we love America, and because we love America, we're going to murder these folks. And murder is an act of hatred. You know, so that's what I'm saying. We love America, and we love our freedom, so we're going to kill you because you're messing with it. I love my wife.
I was saying.
I'm going to kill you. So when you think of love, think of hate. It's just actually, so what do I love?
Exactly. I was gonna say crimes of passion. You know, when a man finds his wife in bed with somebody else, his love is so intense.
Which is that's
that
what Will Smith said. I love my family. That's why I did this.
Yeah.
But y'all don't understand. I love.
But again, still at the end of the day, it's not an excuse.
Ain't nobody buying it.
Exactly. I ain't buying it.
In conclusion, I think there's a consensus amongst this group of men that Chris Rock represented us as African Americans.
100%.
The highest degree of us.
You know what? I just want to say, as a man.
As a man. That's even
As
better.
a man.
You know, we got two black men on stage.
man.
And you know, if it go any other way, it ain't
Earl
gonna
is
be no
addressing
men.
the stereotype of black men
Exactly.
who react in violence.
Exactly.
We know how.
Symbolized.
Exactly.
It's gonna be an image.
Yeah.
One black man do something stupid, everybody is like, oh, there they go. That's what I'm talking about. But Chris Rock rose above us.
Oh yeah.
And that excuse that, you know, there's a need for therapy. Whatever's inside of a man is coming out of that man. And I'm certain Will Smith is smart enough to get some therapy.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's going to be a better man because of it.
Yeah.
We all go through
man.
something.
Thank you. Say that again.
We all go through something to be something.
Yeah.
See, people don't make you who you are. They expose who you are. Chris Rock exposed him. Period. On that note.
So hold on. I just want to ask one last question before we do. Because I already know your answer, but I'm going to ask you two guys to answer one at a time. I'll start with you. If you were Chris Rock, could you have responded in that manner?
Yes.
Okay. How about you?
100% yes.
Gotcha.
Do you know that's a Shupidstit moment right there? We got African American men on high ground.
On high ground.
On high ground. We living there.
Exactly.
We ain't man. We done climbed the high ground.
That wasn't special. We getting there. More of us are getting there.
But why should we be surprised behind that? That's
we ain't surprised.
Now you see why I asked the question.
Right.
Because everybody's so surprised that Chris Rock act this way. But it's old men in here. Like
newsflash: the African American male has risen to a level of integrity, of love, and it's been shown. And all others are opportunities to display that. Will Smith was an opportunity.
Man. You need to make a T-shirt. I wear it.
Will Smith was an opportunity to show where we at now, right now. And if you don't know that, you better recognize. And on that note. On that note.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let us increase the Shupidstit.
There you go.
And let us decrease the stupid shit.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you for this. Thank you for this non-violent opportunity.
Hey, that was great, man.